Okay, so we're talking now about handling prices. So prices matter, right? Because in our application, we have a situation when we want to be able to calculate prices in a way that looks intuitive. And right now, our numbers don't look great in our app. So the prerequisites for this video is that you should understand the difference between strings and numbers. That's it. Our learning objective is you learn how to cast strings as number and also fix the number of decimal places using JavaScript. And for the assignment, we want you to do it. Make your numbers look like currency in your application. Now, we're not using dollars or Ethiopian birr or naira or Tanzanian shillings or any of the currencies represented here. We're just going to use decimal places that looks like what currency would have. But this doesn't look right. So 4.5 should be 4.50. A 2 should be 2.00. A 5 should be 5.00, etc. So this is actually pretty simple. But in order to do this, the first thing that we have to do is we have to talk about the way that JavaScript concatenates numbers. So if you look here in my console here, I can declare a variable. So var my number equals 5. And if I do my number plus 5, we get 10 because a number added to another number is a number. But if we said var another equals 5, another is 5, and we say another plus 5 is 55. Now we know 5 plus 5 is not 55. This is because when you concatenate a string and a number together in JavaScript, it treats them both as strings. You don't have this problem in other languages like Java when it's impossible to add it's impossible to even perform an arithmetic operation on an integer and a string. It won't allow you to do it. You have to cast you have to cast the string to be an integer and convert it, and then you can do that. But in JavaScript, you have to make sure that you do that first because it's going to go ahead and add them together as strings if you're not watching out. And you're going to see that now. So, for example, if you, here we use a user selection.value and then we want to add a 10 to it, right? So we select the dish. Chango fish is now 510. What used to be 5. So, I mean, that's very expensive. 510, if it used to be dollars, that's a lot of money. So we don't want that, right? We're seeing the concatenation happening. So how do we prevent that from happening? What we can do is we just pass this as a number. So now we refresh. Changu fish is now 15. So that makes sense. 5 plus 10, 15. Okay, we see it now. Eba should be 12 because it's 10 plus 2. Okay. So we know that that's how that works. So number user selection.value doesn't really do us that much good by itself because it always looked like a number even when it was a string. But what we can do is we can call dot to fixed. And it fixes it to 2 decimal places. Okay, use selection dot value dot to fixed. Because we didn't tell it 2 decimal places. So you can fix it to however many places you want. And there we go. We fixed it 2 decimal places and it works. So just see if you can implement that. It's very easy. You can add your own currency in front if you want. If you want, to add shillings, you can do that, whatever you want to do. But that's it. So we'll see you in the next video. This was pretty simple, but it's important just for you to be able to see how to cast your values as numbers in JavaScript. When you're getting these things in from forms, a lot of times when you get user data in from forms or these menus, it's going to give you the values in strings. So just you have to make sure you know your data. That's one of the reasons why we have other iterations of JavaScript like TypeScript that have typing just like Java that help you to prevent from making mistakes like this, because mistakes are very common where if you're not really fully aware of what your data looks like, it's very common for people to accidentally make something a string where it really needs to be a number, and they don't check it, and JavaScript is not going to check you. So you need to, every time you're dealing with numbers, make sure if you're dealing with user input or something from an HTML page, make sure that you cast the number as a number.